Microphone check one, two. What is this? Money Quality Talks. We're back. Show number 49. Wow. Happy Monday, family. I know it's not usually the favorite day of the week for many people, but you know what? It is my favorite day. For some reason, I've always, not always, but later in the years, as I grew to become, an adult, I've learned to really understand the importance of the first day of the week, which in some countries is Sundays, but it doesn't really matter. My idea is that Monday is like, the day I get to press that reset button and just do over or do better. Um, Welcome to your show. This is your weekly rendezvous every Monday nights, and well, it is an absolute pleasure to be doing today's show because it's always a pleasure to do the show, but especially today because I have a very, very, very special guest and aficionado of the show, my good sister, Nikki Monty, who has brought along the way two other great and amazing queens indeed. Another Nikki, but going by the name of Nikki Morgan, whom is an intimacy alchemist, sexologist, and touchless orgasm specialist. Hello. And we have none other than Adara Moselle, a Tantric Bliss Shaman. Yes, indeed. Woo! You are not ready, family, for what is coming for you guys. I am telling you, it is crazy. And let's not forget our beloved Nikki Monty, who is a sonic alchemist and a Reiki master teacher. Lord of mercy, if you had any doubts on the quality of today's show, let me reassure you it's about to get really, really, really real. So without further ado, let me bring to the room these ladies, all of them, 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 all of them. Greetings, ladies. Let me unmute you. Let me unmute you. Yes, indeed. Adara, very, very pleased to meet you. The two Nikkis. Welcome,
Hello.
ladies.
Pleasure to meet you as well.
How are you?
Wonderful. I'm wonderful. I have no complaints. How about yourself?
Oh, well, I cannot complain at all. As a matter of fact, as I was just saying, today was, as far as I'm concerned, the start of the week. So I just felt really, really enthused by what was going to come up, with you ladies, excited about this conversation. And, with that being said, yeah, it's been a blessed day so far. So a great kickstarter for the week ahead.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you for having us.
Well, thank you, ladies. Hey, Nikki, okay, Nikki Monty, please allow me to ask you to give us a bit of a perspective on the two queens that are joining you, joining us today, because it's their first time on the show. It's not your first time on the show.
Yes.
You always bring great insights, and last week we spoke, and you mentioned, Adara and Nikki being, amazing, uh, I would say, sources of knowledge for
Yes.
the topic you and I were discussing on last week.
Yes.
So, let's go. You do your thing. We want to hear all about it.
Okay, great. So again, hi audience. I'm Nikki Monty. I'm a sonic alchemist. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. Adara is in Atlanta. Nikki is based out of Chicago. I came across these ladies by way of one of our good brothers named Shaman. He is a wonderful healer, medicine man, and all types of other things. And we have decided to come together and produce an event called Interdimensional Journey. And it's from May 24th through 28th. And they'll be offering their services and I'll be offering mine. All of us are medicine women. These two specialize in the Tantra aspect. And they have so much knowledge and information. My words wouldn't do them justice. But from what I've experienced with them, Adara is so knowledgeable, so powerful. She brings on energy and creates these bliss states and orgasm. And she's so creative. She's so creative. And what I witnessed during the Black Full Moon, or the what do you call it? I'm at a loss for words, but yes.
Yeah.
So on the 30th, on Saturday, Adara, I, and a few people got together, and it was just, it changed my whole perspective on what sexuality and sensuality in Tantra is. I saw her bring forth a gentleman into the space who was awesome as well in the work that he does. He also does Tantra work. And she brought him into a state of ecstasy and bliss and orgasm within his body without any sexual
Any liquids.
Yeah. I mean, it was so beautiful, and I was just witnessing it, and she was so creative with how to exude the energy that I felt something in my heart space, and I started crying because the energy was just circulating so powerfully in the room. So you know how when you get next to someone or around someone and it just feels good and you're very happy and there's jovial spirits and good things going on. She brought that about within a matter of seconds. Because she comes forth from her heart space so heavy, and she wants everyone to experience love and bliss and walk within that while they're here on their earth walk here, in the physical. Nikki,
so much.
I can't even explain what Nikki does. Like she's a wonderful space holder. She is a wonderful medicine woman. I had the chance to experience her today in her work, and I was just blown away. And I was so grateful and honored that we're sharing space and we're cultivating this sacred shrine of us as women to assist people out here in the United States and wherever the universe brings us forth to share our good work. She's a sexologist, so she's very well versed and aware of how the body works, the emotional aspects, and so much more. She is a master with energy work. She the way she demonstrated it today, because we're meeting each other, we're getting to know each other. We know each other honestly from our astral travels, from our past lives and all kinds of things. Just when spirit moves and gets people together, you just know. We know that we have great work together to do. So she is a master intimacy alchemist. She is teaching me so much about how to honor myself and my body. And with the Adara being there as well, it's like a culmination with the sound. It is a force to be reckoned with. So this is what we bring to the table for those that are our allies, friends, comrades, or people that are coming to us for healing work. And what the sound does, and what I witnessed on Saturday with the Adara, is it enhances the aspects of healing with Tantra. So it is.
Okay.
We're doing some powerful stuff, Boddhi.
Well, first of all, the introduction you gave is absolutely remarkable because it just speaks from the heart. And I mean, the energy is felt, and I'm thousands of miles away. But
Yes.
I have to say that one thing that we've learned post-pandemic or through the pandemic is that there's no such thing as distance anymore.
Right.
Not like there was any such thing as distance before, but even less now because of this technology. But we have this technology, but even more so, the way you're able to help people from a distance, just through the mastering and the mastery of your crafts. And so, I'd like to ask Sister Adara to give us a deeper perspective before I ask Sister Nikki Morgan to also give us deeper perspective and educate us a little bit more onto what are these practices, what it is about, etc., etc. Just educate us, because I think that the reason for this conversation today, and I'd like to apologize to the three of you for delaying the show today, because I had I had to do a last minute interview.
No apologies.
Prior to this one.
No apologies.
But I thank you for making the time. I know you ladies are really busy as well, so I just want to make sure we make the best use of your time. And so, Sister Adara, maybe you can give us some perspective and really deeper knowledge as to what your contribution to this world is, and just educate us, please.
Absolutely. Well, I am a tantric shaman, right? So I do the sensuality thing. In addition to that, I do the energy thing, meaning I help you move the energy in your body. All the energy you feel is yours. I'm just giving it a boost, right? So I help work with Kundalini, opening up blockages in the energy body, all of that good stuff. What I also do is deal with the spirit realm, right? I'm an intermediary for people. I channel messages for them, right? I channel energy for them, like Nikki saw. So the energy that you might feel is not necessarily mine, but it's what I'm channeling down from the universe that is appropriate for that time. You know, I practice Grand Trine Tantra, and the whole basis of that really is to turn you back to your original DNA blueprint. Okay, so in that case, you have like a healing experience, a pleasure experience, and an enlightenment experience, and eventually all three as your blockages remove, right? So we have reflexology zones, right? Your hands, your head, your feet, right? But your genitals is your biggest reflexology map, right? So anything that's in the physical body is in your other bodies as well. So you get to the emotions of your liver, the emotions of your heart, the emotions of your brain, the emotions of your arm when you broke it when you were 7, all of that. And all of that can be cleared out through tantric energetic work. Energetic work, period. But it's some time. I'm sorry.
No, please, come on. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm smoking my cigar. You know, we relax up in here. You know, unpack shows and shit. You know, if you want to chop some food, you can chop food too. We good.
You know, but yeah, so in that process, people have deep healings, right? We also are trying to make sure that your puberty came online properly. So a lot of people don't talk about that. Your puberty fully came online. So
are you serious? And so as a grown adult, your puberty might have not.
Yeah, right. So
no, hold on. Hold on. You just right there. Okay, go ahead. Tell us about this.
Okay, so developing as a person is more than just a physical thing, you know. And in the physical thing, there's chemicals, you know, there's electrical things, there's hormonal things, all of these, right? So what we found is that a lot of people are maybe halfway through puberty, even though their growth has been stunted emotionally, mentally, physically, hormonally, whatever else. So when there's an emotional component to that as well, right? So reason why puberty stopped oftentimes is due to an emotional factor. So let's say you were traumatized at the age of 4, right? We all know that the age of 4 is still in your psyche, but people don't think about how it affects your physical and your energetic body, right? So yeah, so I've worked on people for like a series of sessions, maybe 3 to 5 sessions, and their penis has gotten longer, right? Because the energetic blueprint went back more to its original.
Nikki, why you gotta be like that? You're talking real shit here, man.
I'm one of people. You know, I'm trying to get people that want to.
How long though? Because was it already long or was it like super small and got a little big? I mean, what's the question? I'm curious. Sorry, you know, we ain't about that kind of cheap show, but I mean, people want to know.
I want to know. I'm here for the people, right? So I'm not going to say it grew like 4 or 5 inches, but it's grown like at least a half inch, you know, quarter of inch. Because I remember I worked on one guy, and he was only 27, and we got up from the table. He looked down and was like, and like did his whole step back and was just, you know.
Hold on, but how does that come about? It comes by releasing the blockages in the body.
Yes. And in addition to that, you're activating those parts of you that didn't come online, right? So now you have extra boost, right? So like there's a lot in the energy body that people don't understand. Like men don't know they have auric penis. You see what I'm saying? So you might see somebody like Nicki or whoever else doing energy work on somebody, or he does Tantra on women and stuff like that, and they'll go into orgasm. But they don't understand it's because he knows how to project that, and the auric penis is not bound by time and space, just like love is not bound by time and space. Memories aren't bound by time and space. It's like it's on a different dimension, so it acts by different physical laws, you know, or laws of physics, I guess, if you will, right? So yeah, so we're just really on the physical cell body level. We're trying to line that back with your DNA blueprint. After that, am I going too long? Should I pass the mic?
No, keep going.
No. We're here for that. We have this, because you see, this is the thing. I really think that, you know, these kind of conversations especially help, you know, I'm a man, right? So having this conversation with, you know, actually, you know what, with fellow women, you know, because a part of me is also women and female as well. So I embrace that. And I think that it's not, you know, being that is, you know, have this whole virility and this big, no, it's important to also educate brothers on the necessity to embrace that side of them without feeling like they're being emasculated or anything like that. It actually, if anything, it's adding to your masculinity.
Exactly.
Increasing the size of your, you know, if you want to consider the services and you know, treatments.
You know, like even if it's not like the physical thing,
of course,
interact with your partner better, You see what I'm saying? The fact you feel more in your body, like a lot of people don't realize how much of their genitals are numb. You see what I'm saying?
Genitals are numb.
Numb. Like a lot of people, at least half of their penis is numb, at least half of their vagina is numb. Right? That's why they can only receive pleasure in one way. If you weren't numb, you could feel things in a lot of different ways, right?
Yo. No, hold on. But so okay, now this is a very powerful. No, hey, by the way, y'all can come in the conversation, please.
Don't mind me.
Nikki 1, Nikki 2, please jump in. Sorry, but no, this is a this is powerful what you're saying, because on multiple occasions, me through my angel courses in my life, I've noticed that there was some of my partners were indeed not feeling anything, and no matter the stimulation, the stimuli I was trying to come about with it, and I noticed a lot of the time it was tracing back to traumas they've had with previous partners.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, sister. Please. I'm sorry. I'm just mind blown by what you're saying.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So I mean, as you're just pointing on, like based off things in life, we put up walls to protect ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So our body has memory, our cells have memory. So if that starts talking to you in your quiet time, like you'll notice a lot of people don't like to be by themselves. A lot of people don't like listening to their thoughts. So let's say that thought is bringing up a traumatic act. You're going to shut something down so it doesn't come back anymore, right? That's logical self-defense. So we do it so much that we don't really realize how desensitized we are to things, and our physical body is one. Like a lot of people don't know when they're sick. You should feel something a couple days or so before, and if you have a really severe thing, like you should feel that you're a little bit off. You might not be able to put your finger on it, but some people have no idea what's going on in their body. No idea what's going on in their home. No idea what their partner feels. No idea what the dog is doing. They just
stuck in one reality.
Yeah, and they're missing out on life.
Yeah. And those
sorry to interrupt. Sorry, let me welcome those who are jumping in the show. Ralphie Lopez, Sister Kiara, great to have you. Everyone else as well joining in. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you press the like. Make sure you follow the sisters as well. I've added their socials in the description section of the video. So show support, show love, and don't hesitate to ask questions. You're also part of the conversation. Sister Nikki, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just supporting what oh my
Adara was saying.
Adara. We had ceremony earlier, so I'm just grounded. But yes, supporting what Adara is saying. Think about when babies are born and you touch their toe, right? Mm-hmm. Their whole bodies can feel. Their whole body, like they shake because they can feel everything from touching a toe. And then as we start taking on the different patterns as we get older, what your name is, how you use the bathroom, what you should feel shame about. Mm-hmm. And you start even picking up habitual identity aspects. And when your identity becomes habitual, then it's very easy to not even recognize some of your primordial feeling and how you're able to express and feel in all of the diverse ways that Adara is speaking to. And certainly, so I hold these sessions where we also walk through our imaginations. And it's very interesting that the same way how we may self-pleasure the same way every single time, right? So your body develops a memory and a habit that says, this is how I receive pleasure. This is the way. Mm-hmm. Well, same thing when it comes to your imagination. Here it is that we're talking about. We want to manifest all these things. Meanwhile, you bound yourself to the same rules and the same blocks that are in your physical, in your imagination. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not able to tap into your own freedom of your own imagination, then certainly you're not going to be able to feel more. And our sexual energy bridges our imagination to our physical reality. Mm-hmm. So when you're able to cultivate that sexual energy, it's not just about feeling horny. It's not just about, oh, I feel like I want. There's so many elements and so many nuances about our sexual energy that we don't even recognize, including just in our Western way of thinking. When we speak about men and women, for that matter, speaking to ejaculation and how ejaculation and orgasm, they are very different things. They're very different things, but we assume that they're the same. And
but please, Nikki, allow me to ask you, define that a little bit more, because what you're saying is very foreign for a lot of people. So what do you mean by that? Because let's also remind people, it's very important, as I just did for Sister Adara, I must also do the same again here. You are a intimacy alchemist, which you will have to develop a little bit on that, because people need to understand what does alchemy, even though it's pretty obvious to me or to you guys, but what does alchemy has to do with intimacy? You're a sexologist and you're a touchless orgasm specialist. So please go ahead. What do you mean by these different orgasms? I mean, please define that, I beg.
Sure. Sure. So I will. Okay. So I'll start from the former. Intimate alchemist was a term that came to me that encompassed all of the aspects that I moved through, and in essence, intimacy with self allows us to have intimacy with everything, and to recognize that we have a body, we are not the body. That means that you need time to understand your body. You need time. There are many mistakes that we made, and the body needs time for its own reparation, even if your mind is ready to go. So having time and space to understand your body. And when you understand your body, you can understand your sensations. You can understand the energy that is moving through that body. And then you can start to recognize from intimacy with self, intimacy with the universe, intimacy with partnership, intimacy with all. And
intimacy doesn't always mean sexuality. We agree on that, right?
It doesn't have to be. Or if you want to expand your understanding of sexuality, so we can look at it either way. Because sex, when we say sex, many times there's this idea that sex starts when someone is penetrated. But if that was the case, then there are many people that experience sex that do not. That are not penetrated, right? And what sex actually is really just taking two components and being able to create, to procreate, to put together, right? So in essence, it can happen even on a cellular level when we understand sex. This right here, we're making love right here because I'm penetrating you with my words, right? And 100%. You are receiving them, right? So when we start to expand that, this intimacy of alchemy, it really helps us to understand the oneness and how we can navigate in that way. And when
sorry, I'm going to interject here. Sorry, sis. There's a lot of fuckboys that are using these science to do some fuck shit too, man. Let's be real.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of boys that are just like, man. I'm going to talk you through this shit. Basically, I'm penetrating you with my words. We don't have to actually have sex. These are some players will try to use that though. That's the only thing that's like, how as a woman do you actually get to understand who is faking it and who's actually really about it?
Say that once more.
Can you please maybe give some hints? Because a lot of people are very clueless when they meet. For example, for the first time, anybody who's going to watch this conversation for the first time will be blown the fuck away by what we're talking about. Well, by the way, you can curse on the show. It's not made for kids.
Okay,
so
good.
You can curse. You can be as real as you need to be. So my question is, how do you then develop even further more in details as detailed as possible to any women or men the kind of tactics or techniques that needs to be developed in order for you to understand if that person truly means well or just try to use you.
Yeah. So this is that conversation of having connection and intimacy with the body. The body offers wisdom beyond what our frontal lobes, which is where our identities lie, beyond our habitual identities. So you can say yes to something, but you might feel tension in your shoulders. You might be like, no, I have to do this, but you can feel like something's just not right in my stomach. This is a language. These bodies have a language. And so because So there's something called manufactured consent or social coercion, where if we see media, if we see, okay, this is what's beauty on television, and look how, and they use the music to also assist, the music that makes us feel good, the colors that affect our minds and our bodies. And then you see this is beauty. And then you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, wait, that's not what I look like, right? So we have to allow the mind and the body to align. We have to allow that to align. So it does take time to trust yourself. And as we were discussing earlier, we are our sole authority. So if you feel like you're about to miss out on something, if you feel as though it's coming from a place of desperation and it's not coming from a place of my whole expansion of joy and my expression, if it's not coming from my expression, then it's something to be looked at. We don't need to act, but it's for the expression. And sometimes the act is allowing us to learn, and that's perfectly fine, and be forgiving with yourself when that happens. There's room for reparation in these bodies because we didn't know when we did it.
100%.
Yeah. But it's really understanding how these bodies work that are going to offer you that. Even decolonizing our emotions, you know, there are things that we assume this is what it looks like, so I have to feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure I do this. Oh my goodness, there's so many women that they rush themselves. They're like, okay, well, maybe if I have to hurry up, my orgasm is taking too long. Let me hurry up. Baby, you don't have to hurry up.
Yeah. But is it a hurry up because then it might be too much of a challenge for the man, or if what because this is not the first time I'm hearing what you're saying, and I've noticed that, you know, there's a sense of urgency, and sometimes, you know, you hear or as of recently I've seen the buzz about DJ Envy and his wife talking about the fact that he has not been present here for I don't know how many years, and she's been pregnant. It seems like there's a lot of that going on in so many relationships, and for us as men, I think that this is especially if you're a man who really wants to please his woman, and if the woman has not, due to previous relationship, not been given space to express herself as to what she likes or doesn't like, it can eventually, you know, lead to her not actually voicing or just telling the man, look, I prefer this. And sometimes, as you said earlier, it's also a question of knowing your body and knowing yourself. And another thing that I'm hearing as well. So I'm muting the mic every once in a while because my Luna here barks a lot. So sorry about that.
Okay.
But I'm hearing also, just lost the train of thought. I was about to say, so orgasm, not pleasing.
Knowing our own bodies.
Knowing our own bodies, yes. A couple of, actually quite a few of my female friends are like, yeah, I don't masturbate. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but how do you do it? No, I take a shower. Okay, but you have no interaction with your body whatsoever. None. I'm not a specialist, so I don't know what to tell you, but okay. And they're like, no, I prefer the real thing. And I'm like, but you know the amount of energy you're about to share with anybody that's going to be entering your body and providing you with whatever sort of nonsense. I mean, you don't know who's entering you or vice versa. So wouldn't it be wise if you know to do it? I mean, I don't know. What is your take on that? Because it seems like there's a lot of preconceived ideas, or there's also a sense of like no connection with genitalia whatsoever, and maybe one of the ways could be through the touchless orgasm or some of these approaches that might maybe pacify the relationship from that one has with her body or his body.
Mm-hmm. You want me?
Go ahead. No, please. Two commercial girls, like, yo, ladies, please. This is open mic. Let's go.
Okay. Well, I mean, like you said, you'd be surprised how many people don't look at themselves in the mirror. But a lot of people don't have mirrors in their rooms. You know, they don't look at their bodies whatsoever. They're doing their best to disconnect, like you said, right? Because they believe that they're ugly, as if beauty comes from anybody else other than you, right? They think that sex is a tool, right? Like, I always ask people why they have sex. You know, like, why do you have sex? Some people do it for power. Some people do it to show love. Some people do it because I have to just keep them around. you know, like all of these different things. So people never really have the conversation of what does sex mean to you? What is sex to you? Like same thing with the relationship. What is your idea of marriage? What is your idea of this? What is your idea of that? Right? Then they just get into it. Like, I kind of like you, so I don't want to be alone. So come on, right? So let me just do this little bit to get by.
Yeah.
And you just, you know, satisfy my things, right? So I would suggest that women and men explore themselves, right? Explore themselves, explore what they think they know about themselves. I always say that it's not a thought that you have or a belief that you have that you should not be willing to let go of, right? If you get better information, you should be willing to change your thoughts. If not, you have an unhealthy relationship with it. You know, same thing with how you feel about your body. Like you won't turn the lights on. Turn the lights on. Like, what are you afraid of? You know, he might like your stretch marks. I'm hearing this in style now. You know, nobody.
Very correct. You know, for many years, I used to have sex with the lights off for many years. I used to not want the lights on. I don't know what difference would it make anyway, because you know, at some point, whatever you don't want to be. I mean, you know, it was silly, but yeah.
Something, yeah.
Very interesting. Sorry about the noise, but yeah, it's very interesting. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Like, you know, we hide from ourselves, we hide from our partners, right? A lot of women don't want to find out what turns them on. They don't want to. Some people don't like to be touched. Period. You know, like where does that come from? A bunch of places. But if the person never really told you that they don't like to be touched, and you're trying to like love them for real, like, you know what I'm saying, have a bad reference for R. Kelly evening, but in a good way, the good kind, not the creepy kind. You know, the good, you know?
I feel you. You don't want nobody peeing on you though, but I mean, you know, if that's the thing, well, whatever.
That's your thing, you know. No
Some
cable.
people like that kind of thing, you know. I don't, you know, it's
each
their own, as long as it's a choice.
Yes.
I guess.
One man's freak is another man's geek, or one person's freak is another, or don't yuck anybody's yum.
Yeah, don't yuck my yummy. Yeah, so a lot of times, like, okay, so men say things that they don't realize they're saying, and we listen a lot. So we'll listen to you how you talk about like people on TV or whatever. So this girl you see in the street, or this chick you went to high school with, she did this. That means she's a hoe. And we're like, oh, okay. Well, I kind of slick like doing that too. I'm not gonna tell you that. So I need you to see me this certain type of way. So she doesn't want to express herself fully, because a lot of men think that they're like the freaky one in a relationship. Come to find out. You know, and then you're like, oh, I didn't know this is who you were. And now, you know.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's a number of things. So I say, ladies, just don't be afraid of yourself. You know, like if you're grown and you pay your own bills and, you know, you have some kind of sovereignty, just sovereignty starts here. Take this first. You can't take your outside situation. You can always grab your joy, always your pleasure, always gratitude, always, and not stop being dictated by all this stuff around you. And just let a man give to you, a woman give to you, whatever you're into.
You Nikki said something very powerful about decolonizing the mind. And so this is a word that I've heard a lot, right? So there's many layers to this sentence.
Yes.
But let's take the approach of the angle of the topic we're touching on right now. Develop a little bit more what it means to you and your understanding. Decolonizing the mind of, I guess, both women and men when it comes to this topic.
Well, for me, the first thing is to understand that we can transcend duality, and that there's not one type of man and there's not one type of woman, and that there are many genders in between, including very physical intersexed people that are born with different types of organs. So when we could, absolutely, meaning like you can be born with a penis and have a full uterus, or you could exactly. So the first thing is to understand, and this is the exact same thing when we're talking about masturbating in only one way. The idea that this is the only thing that exists. When we're infinite and we're able to access so many different things. So when I think of decolonizing the mind, I can recognize that even if you just want to take it as simple as in our childhood, you know, we can look at something and there's not an immediate there is not an immediate opinion or judgment or perspective, but we are allowing ourselves to experience whatever the thing is and then decide by way of what we are feeling and what our body's experience is. So, but when I mentioned social coercion, or when I mentioned manufactured consent, or even previous to that, even as early as the first century, you know, doctors who are primarily male, white male in particular, thought that the womb was something that moved around in the body, and you had to appease it by masturbating it or getting it pregnant. So you got to understand that for many, many generations, even when we talk about women finding their freedom, okay, or when we're talking about, or when we're talking about just connecting to one another on a very basic level, we have to recognize that these are memories in our DNA. This is in our epigenetics. You know, especially melanated people in the last 500 years who became assets and had to fight other animals for their foods, and their children put up against pigs. You know, so what we're talking about is decolonizing. We're talking about removing and opening up whatever those limiting aspects that we're holding, and allow
limiting beliefs as well, right? I guess limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs, yes. And sometimes we don't know what we believe until it slaps us in the face. You don't get I call you a bear and you're like, a bear? That's weird. I could call you a bitch and you're like, whoa, I'm a bitch.
Well, hello.
Right? So there was a part of you that consented, that said, I am a bitch. Why? You can now have the response energy to say, I'm going to respond in this way to be upset because you just said that I'm a bitch. Meanwhile, you didn't care if I called you a bear. So where is the source value of your perception is the question.
True, I get it.
Right. And that's what also brings in that orgasm conversation, and also the work that Nikki does, because what orgasm does, it shuts down the prefrontal cortex, that identity piece, that habitual identity that you have, and it allows you to access your infinites. So when your body is going through this bliss and this pleasure and this, it is a reconciling between your infinites and your perceived limitations. And so one of the things that I love Adara has been able to do is utilize this same kind of energy to tap into telekinesis. So she uses that energy to move physical objects. I use this work to move trauma out the body and recall primordial memory. We all do. And then Nicki Monty, you call my name, Nikki, and Nicki Monty. Right. Nicki Monty uses these amazing tools back here, these gifts, these beings to vibrate and bring the cellular structure back to its original primordial way of being.
It's awesome.
Yes, and this is proven in so many different ways, including the work of Dr. Emoto, who shows that when you project a certain kind of energy, it changes the cellular structure of water, and these bodies are made more than 70% of water. So, you know, Nicki Monty brings it home, and it's in her own orgasmic way as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I'm well aware that Sister Nicki Monty definitely has quite the knowledge when it comes to that. She's shared with me some of her experience, and you know, I've been really blessed to share her journey through and through, and it's amazing to see the work that you ladies are doing, and very important because I think that it taps beyond just the concept of the limited idea of what sex is. Because it's not about sex. It really is about you as a human being, first and foremost. Nicki Monty.
Yes, sir.
I'd like oh shit, she just called me son. Oh shit! That was.
Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I have to hop off. I have to get my kids from downstairs. I'm sorry. But,
No, please, Adara, sister Adara, you can hop in whenever you want. You know, we heal for, you know, I don't know how long the show still is gonna last for, but you know, minimum 2.5 hours.
Okay, great.
So you know, hop back in, you know, and you know, I'll bring you back into the conversation. No big deal.
Thank you. And if I can't make it, I love being here.
It was a pleasure, and I will definitely make sure that we have you again on the show because there's definitely lots to speak on. So you know, if you're able to come back, please do. But otherwise, you know, we'll have you back on the show for sure.
All right, ladies. See you all momentarily.
All right.
Peace to the babies. I said, hey.
I shall. They're running them up.
So beautiful.
All right.
So beautiful.
I love her.
Yo, man, such a vibe, and such an important knowledge that you ladies are willing to share with us. So yeah, Nikki, Monty, I was asking you last week, as per a friend of mine who was asking me, you know, what are some of the ritualistic ways, to cleanse one's womb, vagina, energy, whatever, from past sexual interactions, past partners, as she's willing to step into her power, she's willing to step into a new version of herself. And, you know, you were like, hold that thought and let's have this conversation tonight. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess this question is for both of you ladies, but yeah, I want to start with you, Nikki, Monty.
Yeah. So what has supported me? The main thing is, well, when 2020 came, we all had to look at ourselves, right? So we had to submit to certain aspects of ourselves when the mirror was put up, and the mirror was put up in front of me, and I was noticing and understanding there are certain things that are still sitting with me that are preventing me from having a healthy relationship with my family. I want to heal, but I'm having stagnation. My mother, my sister, we're all experiencing the same thing at the same time. So I said, okay, what is something that's going on? And I went into a medicine session, and the medicine that I utilized was psilocybin, which is a mushroom. And they started speaking to me, and there's things that can be cleansed out through all kinds of ways. There's more than one way to skin a cat. But the way that assisted me and got me to really having an understanding is first understanding myself, understanding that I chose my journey, that all of these things are lessons, and that if I want to cleanse myself, all I have to do is accept my purpose, accept my mission, and move forward. And the traumas that were lying in there, all I had to do was just take my time with myself and express it out by, there were so many things that I did, but the main thing was tapping into my ancestors, going into states of recall. And I had to actually force myself to relive certain things to understand this is how it happened. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't a lie. And this is how it processed in my emotional body. This is how it processed in my physical body. And then when I recognized that this is something that happened for me to grow into the person that I am today, I became more aware of the state of acceptance. So all the experiences I had, it didn't matter whether I enjoyed it or not. The thing is that I accepted it, and that I understood that it didn't make me any less of a woman, any less of a person, and that I can utilize these experiences to empower myself and to assist others because I was afforded the opportunity to have this learning. And that's when I started to understand now my womb is still, even though I accept, my womb is still vibrating at a certain frequency and attracting specific type of circumstances and situations. I said, oh shit, I don't want this anymore. So I started, I did some, what do you call it? Exercises. I started doing exercises, specific type of yoga movements and postures that would open up my hips. And then I would start crying and purging. And I say, why am I doing this? I'm moving my hips. Dancing is so important. Movement of the body is so important. And when you start to move, then you start to feel these things happen. And then I would put myself in these positions, and I would start to release emotionally, and I would start to release from my heart, and I would cry. And then spirit started saying, use your tears as a cleanse for your face. Don't let anything escape from you. Allow these things to process through your body. So I had to go into a state of acceptance of my processing. And I allowed myself to move through my healing the way that I knew that my body needed to do it. I couldn't follow any type of protocol. I couldn't follow anything. I had to listen to spirit. So you already know I'm tapped into my ancestors. You already know that I work with Orisha. But also
100%.
when going on my journey, then I started working with these galactic, higher vibrating ancient ancestors, ancient ones, ascended masters, and all these different things, because I knew that once I decided to step into my healing journey, there's going to be so much more that I needed to do. And then I started to download information that was for me, because everybody has their program. Everybody has their vibration and their frequency that
Yeah.
they come here with and they walk with. And it's their choice to choose if they want to ascend higher, if they want to stay in this physical state that they're in and not embody their true self, their true primordial self. Because there's so many things that have happened on this plane where we're being locked into these states of consciousness that were programs. Let's say, for example, Edward Bernays. He wrote the perfect protocol for propaganda and to brainwash us. And then in this country, there's so many other things that came before that that assisted in the enslavement of certain melanated people's minds. So there's so much programming that's going on. And once I started to realize everything that I've experienced is a part of someone else's program and not my own, then I started to free myself. And that's when my womb started to free itself. So things became easier to manifest. I started to manifest better relationships. Nikki came into my life. Adara came into my life. Casey came into my life. My mother started her healing work, and she's doing medicine, and she's not depending on the medical system to assist her in her growth and development of her mental state, because she's had trauma. And the same with my sister, and our children are healing because we passed on traumas to our children because we didn't know or identify how to heal our own selves. No one taught us or gave us the blueprint, and our ancestors just had to survive. They didn't have the opportunity to thrive. And because I can tap into my ancestors and ask them specific questions, because they are me, I am them, they are in my DNA, and it's all of their messages, all of their experiences. So they can assist me in my movements so that I don't have to relive these traumas anymore. So I literally broke the program. I literally broke the program. And what has been the master in breaking that program was sound. And we all know how important sound is as well. So movements, my diet changed completely, owning my shit, not having any fear, admitting when I'm having an issue with myself and allowing myself to vocalize that, to allow people to understand, like, hey, I'm still moving through this, even though I'm a spiritual person, even though I'm having spiritual experiences and my soul is calling for things. I still identify as a person living here having experiences. So I don't walk in fear. I share. I want to gather as much information as I can so I can support my family and others. And the sound and the frequencies of me exuding this, because my soul is calling for it. It's just a frequency. So once you put that ping out, or you put that information out there, or you exude that energy, the healing is going to come back to you. There's so many ways. There's so many ways. There's not a right way, but you just have to listen to your body. Your cells are calling for it. Your ancestors are calling for it. Your children, your friends and comrades, they're all calling for all of us to do our healing work. And that's why we're actually doing this interdimensional journey, so that we can start assisting people, because there's a spirit within inside everyone that's lying dormant because of programming. And there's no need to have to do that anymore. There's so many ways. There's medicine by way of sound, by way of plants, by way of hugs, food, everything, sun, water, animals. There's so many different layers to it. So what I suggest to women who want to work on that space within themselves, listen to your body. Ask your own self, what do you need for this healing? And a lot of times it's going to just direct you in your way if you just get out of your own way and submit. That's when things become very powerful.
So, very important. Is that what you just said? It was is very, very important. That's what I wanted to get to. But I want to get you to go even deeper, because I think that we touched deeply enough. But let's elaborate. Maybe the two of you ladies can elaborate more on the points that are put down here. So you said something about releasing the self.
Yes.
Can you emphasize a little bit more on what it means and what form it can potentially take, even though from one person to another it can be manifested in different ways? But what do you mean by releasing the self, releasing yourself?
Okay, so I was identifying as something that I wasn't, right?
Devote that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so music producer, DJ, yes, I'm that, but I'm so much more. I was limiting
Good.
myself by calling myself a music producer and a DJ. I can't even go any deeper into that. We put these titles on ourselves as limitations.
Okay, I get it.
So and then when you're dealing with the true essence of yourself and you start to understand how old your spirit is.
You're removing the etiquette, basically, that you've laid upon yourself.
Exactly. So and the medicine has helped me a lot with that, but also to be able to sit with myself. I'm no longer serving in a job, just over broke. I'm actually serving now my community. I'm assisting my comrades and my allies, my friends in the work that they do. And we're exchanging energy and we're continuing to raise our frequency so that we can continue to tap into these primordial energies that are ourselves, because we're not here because we're here to do work for other people. We're here to work with each other so that we can master what we're doing, so we can assist with the knowledge and information that we're attaining. This is to share with the world. This is not for us, because we're all, like I learned today, we're all together. We're all everything and nothing at the same time. We're a part of this magnificent pool of energy and knowledge and information that is source, and everything else that comes from that is just layers of existence, layers of gods, layers of deities that came here to assist in the creation and the manifestation of what we're experiencing today. So I can go on and on, Boddhi.
But hold on. So there's I know you can go on and on, but I'm not done with you. We here for that. We all for
But I also wanted
Go ahead.
to say one more thing. A wonderful sister friend of mine named Onika Long just walked in here, and she is a womb healing specialist.
Oh, here you go. We
This
got more
is what I'm
healers in the room. Come on. Bring Onika to the conversation if she feels comfortable to. If she feels comfortable to, otherwise,
yes.
It's okay.
But let me tell you, Onika is a masterful woman. She is an Oshun priestess. She has a business called Merkaba House. She is a teacher. She has a school. She has 6 children.
Wow, like my sister.
Her womb is active, fruitful, and yes, and her
indeed.
children and her connection to spirit is so divine. Like, I'll move out of the way for her.
Let me as you, greetings, sister, greetings indeed.
And blessings.
I'm having you ladies as the focal point here because I think it's important for the knowledge you're about to share. But right before we go further into details, Sister Kiara, who is in the chat here, says something, asks a very, very powerful question here. She says, "Why is my womb stuck in teenager mode? My hormones levels are that of a 19-year-old, and I'm almost 50. I'm ready for the pause, and it's not happening."
Go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, is she still sexually active?
I believe she is.
Okay.
She's saying she's doing a lot.
Well, as women, we have 3. Typically, we have 3 phases that we go through, kind of like mother, maid, and crone. And so, Mother Nature, when you're in that mother phase, Mother Nature like steadily tries to get you pregnant, like every single month. And the more that you have sex, those hormones are firing off, the dopamine, the oxytocin, and it's actually good vaginal health the more sex you have, but it's telling the brain we are not in crone mode yet. So instead of going into that menopause phase, her body is actually still in mother phase. And every woman goes through this, whether you're a mother or not, your body naturally will be in that mother phase where it's trying to get you pregnant. So it just means that she has a healthy sex life, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the more that she continues to be sexually active, it may prolong those hormones being dispersed through her body. That's why she kind of feels like a teenager, if that makes sense.
And she actually added, very important, she's married. So, it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah, he's very happy.
I'm also kind of curious on where is the source value of the perspective that says, I want to stop it. So what's going on there?
Right.
Yeah.
And why? So there's something that you need to ask yourself, why you want the pause, because you are still you. You are you. You are being. And so if you're questioning or you're correcting or you're rushing, then there's a lack of presence, and you have to understand, why are you avoiding this lack of presence? Like what's happening there? Why you want to stop yourself? That she's tired of bleeding.
So she's adding two things here, very important. She says, it's not that much sex though. We are tired and old and work a lot. And she's adding, I'm tired of bleeding. That's pretty much what she's saying.
There's so much power in the blood, by the way.
So much. There's if you can get intimate with your body and really understand what happens when you are on your moon cycle. Like every egg that you drop has tremendous amounts of primordial energy. So when you are in that, so when you're in that space, outside of your womb telling you, okay, this is what we need to do to balance. Okay, like maybe you didn't get enough sleep, maybe you didn't, so now you're narcoleptic. Maybe you want space and you're cranky because you have not been giving yourself space. Like your body is telling you something. Your body is telling you something, and you have been ignoring it. And then that work a lot, and you telling us that you are tired and old. These lips, life and death. You understand? So what's happening with you is larger, much larger than that. And so I ask you to sit with your why. And those cramps and all of those things are still connected to emotions and things that have been repressed.
Powerful. She's adding, she said, I guess you read what she wrote. I have cramps and I was bleeding for over 14 days in April. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, there's a specific timing that we're in right now. There's a specific timing that we're in. The pandemic made everybody sit down, right? So we had this great sit down, and it made everyone look at themselves, as Nicki Monty shared. And if you have not been doing your personal work and looking at yourself and using the opportunity, we have broken so many paradigms on this planet already. Just by that sit down for this amount of time. So there are paradigms that you still are asking yourself to break. And so these cramps are pain. Again, what Adara was saying, the organs that we have, they process certain emotions. Our wombs, our brains. So if you're having this pain, there are things that you are not processing. And if you're talking about the womb space, that's having to do with how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your desires, how you feel about your relationships, how you feel about your sisters, your brothers, your daddy, your mommy, how you feel about your own creation, how you are creating, how you're holding shame. I can go on the list. But I'm saying, please do not blame your body. Do not blame your body, because your body keeps showing up for you. Your body continues to work towards finding homeostasis. No matter how far out you bring it, it tries to bring itself back. Your heart keeps beating no matter what you put in front of it. That is unconditional love. So please don't blame your body. And this is my primordial self speaking, because again, you are not your body. Your body is loyal to you. Your body is loyal to you. And you know what? I hear everything you said. You're talking about angry idiots at work. You're talking about you've been overwhelmed because your boss is giving you all these responsibilities that are not yours. Did you not hear this woman just finish talking about how when she cleared her womb, that's when she started to attract different relationships and different situations. Baby, it is really difficult for us to take full responsibility for what this life is. It is painful. It's difficult to look at ourselves. It's embarrassing for ourselves to look at. But I promise you, if you allow yourself to be gentle, if you ask yourself, how can I give myself more space? If you can ask yourself, you know what, even if I give myself 10 minutes a day just to fully breathe, people sometimes don't even know how to breathe fully.
So true.
So what's happening right now, and I'm grateful that you're sharing this, because you are a mirror for so many. And we're gonna keep going. Boom, you did it. But you are a part of source. You are entitled to creation because you are part of creation. So when you are able to center that, give yourself some patience, you will find your center, please. And feel free to reach out to any one of us.
Yeah.
Hell, you
I will definitely be adding all the details. I'm adding your name as well to the flyer as well. As soon as we're done with the show, I'll redo the whole flyers and everything. So we got all the names properly added. But I think you ladies tapped into something very, very powerful, and I think that's something that I would like for you as women, goddesses, queens, to now help men understand, because you see, again, as you said earlier, there is a misconception and a lack of understanding, I guess, that women have towards these topics. And can you please touch a little bit more on that, and maybe that could echo what Nikki was saying about breaking the program that we've created for ourselves.
I healed my husband.
Oh, please speak
Yeah,
to that.
she's okay. Let me say this. It was Onika coming into my life last year as an old soul sister, and I went to her house, and I sat in ceremony with her, and her womb is so powerful that I just saw a lot of shit, and I don't even know if I can speak on it, but all I know is that this woman's womb is so fruitful and powerful that the children that she's birthing are going to do wonderful things for humanity. And she's doing wonderful things for humanity. And her husband is doing wonderful things to assist the brothers and sisters here in humanity. And me going to her house triggered the real work for my womb, because her husband understands the process and he knows how to speak to women and ceremony and everything.
But please talk on that, because
I'll have her talk about.
Sister Onika, please talk about, because I'd like for us to get as detailed as possible, because a lot of these conversations, I hear them. Sometimes I watch some shows on YouTube and I'm like, yeah, but we're not tapping into the real deal here. Like, I need to have tools now. As a man, I need to understand, like, what do you guys mean? Like, how can you educate us, and how can we educate each other, and how can it just be something that feels like a natural conversation instead of a weird, kind of topic to talk to or to touch on, when it actually is completely natural, or should be natural, I guess. Sister Onika.
Well, the number one thing for our brothers, they have to heal their mother wound. That's where everything starts at. And it's like, when you don't heal that mother wound, they grow up and they're wounded men. And some of them subconsciously hate women and don't even realize that they hate women. And it's all based on how their mother showed up for them or did not show up for them.
So, okay, but then, okay, I understand that. But then my say is that as a grown adult, you should, at a certain point, raise yourself, right, to a certain level of understanding, and develop a capacity to sort of like assess the situation and I guess assess yourself, right? So is it just something, is it only to be faulted on the bringing and the lack thereof of whatever love they should have had from their mother? Or, yeah, go ahead. Because you're a mother yourself, you ladies are mothers, so please go ahead.
For my husband, to me, I didn't look at it like, oh, you're grown, you should be over this. No, I made him go back and face that 5-year-old little boy that was hurt by his mother. So you really have to go back and almost like save yourself, like go back and heal that moment where you felt betrayed by your mother or by your father. And it doesn't matter, you could be 80 years old, that pain still hits like it happened yesterday. So that's where we started with him, and it was so transformative. But because he secretly had hate for his mother and didn't even realize it and stuff. And then when he would explain things too that she did, he was looking at it from a skewed perspective. What was what I'm looking for? A skewed perception. You know, almost like a 4-year-old's eyes. He was looking at it through a 4-year-old's eyes, not, you know, as a grown man. And so we had to really, really heal that inner child within him and heal that mother wound and the father wound as well. And that's where the work really begins, because if you don't heal that inner child, nothing else after that you do is going to work, because you're still going to be carrying that pain from when you got hurt at 3, 4, or 5, or let's say you got molested, your mom didn't believe you, or your daddy didn't do nothing about it, and you could be 47 and that you're still going to feel that pain. You have to go back and deal with that moment in time that caused you that stress, that devastation, that trauma.
And one of the ways to go about, you know, working on these, I guess, past memories, is to get in touch with you, for example, in this particular matter, and if one doesn't have that opportunity, what could be one of the first practice one should go about to maybe start doing initial work, you know, because, you know, as you just said very well, it can be very, very painful.
Yeah, so the first step, you have to be true to yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. Sometimes we lie to ourselves so much, we start believing the lies and we block out certain memories. So we even forget that it happens. But what that means is that memory is just hiding somewhere in an organ, rotting, and might
Wow,
turn up as cancer.
powerful,
So
powerful.
it's not going anywhere just
Yes.
because you chose to forget about it. It might show up as colon cancer, because now every time you think about it, you get anxiety, so you don't think about it, but your colon is holding it now. So you got to be honest with yourself. If you don't tell the truth to nobody else, tell the truth to yourself. And another thing you can do is start journaling it down, not to share with others, but really for yourself. And sometimes you have to write a letter to somebody that hurt you, that molested you, and really get it out. Tell them how you feel. They could have ruined your sex life for the rest of your life, or took away your ability to have kids, or devastated you, like whatever they did. Put it on paper. You know, write it down. You may have to write a letter to your mother or your father. Sometimes people's parents are deceased. So this is another good therapy to do if your parents are transitioned already, is write it down. And then you can either burn it or bury it after you get it out, but you want to get it out.
Cleaning the memories of the past in order to free yourself from any potential harmful diseases.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you have to get some type of retribution. You know, you can't go through such a trauma and then nothing is done about it. Like you have to get some type of retribution.
Yeah. Give the person or that time period or yourself justice.
There you go.
Yes, body justice, body reparation. This is what we've been talking about. Yeah.
And it's almost like a purge, like you're throwing it up, you're getting it out the body. But you got to get it out, because if it stays in, eventually it's just going to show up as sickness.
And and so and that falls back into something that Nicki Monty said earlier about the medicine, healing with medicine. what does it mean? What is that medicine? And is the medicine? Are you the medicine, as in the person doing the work, or besides you being the medicine? And that's me now. Adding a little bit more to that. Or is that an actual medicine, or a series of certain things that substances you need to consume that can play a role of medicine?
So for me, I'm more so your guide. I'm holding your hand, but you got to do the work. But I can present medicine, but I can't take it for you. You have to go through those steps and walk that path. I hold the light on the path and point to it, but you actually have to take that walk. Now, what I find out what works best for people of color, and it works for everybody, but I'm specifically talking about people of color because we have been traumatized, measures untold, just with slavery and everything that we've been through. Plant medicine is like the number one go-to. If you are able to take plant medicine, it's absolutely the number one go-to to heal pain and trauma and shame. Like perfect example, when I minister, I have my own method of administering Hape. I can take off 30 years worth of trauma in one sitting in the way that I administer it, because I don't just blow and go. I'm actually taking you through a totally complete full ritual. So with plant medicine for people of color is the number one thing, and especially men, because they got to get punched in the face, not physically, but spiritually and proverbially. You got to like knock it out of them. And a lot of men need it hard because they'll be like, oh, I can't feel it. Or so you gotta kind of come with some heat when you're dealing with men of color.
Wow.
And also I wanted to speak to that too. The plants are our allies. So they don't actually, they assist us in removing trauma. They assist us in moving through these programs that we've been programmed with. So they're not there to do the work for you. You have to choose to go on that journey, because there are a lot of people that do medicine and they'll still stay in a specific state of mind because they don't accept the message.
There you go.
It's the programming. You have to be willing and ready to go on this journey, because once you step in it, you will never be the same if you actually step into it honestly and openly. And most people that are doing medicine, or the people that are actually in it for the right reason, we understand that there's no shame, there's no judgment. I'm very open with my conversations. I don't care. I don't have fear. I talk about all the time how I'm still in a state of wanting to move forth into appreciating my body fully. And me and Nikki have had that conversation, and I'm constantly going through that, but I understand and accept that that's something I'm working on. So I'll utilize the medicine, or I'll sit without the medicine and I'll use sound as a medicine or something else. But they're just here as allies and supports on our journey. They're not something that we should be fully dependent on, because even having this conversation is medicine.
100%.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add to that, because I've seen people that want to sit with grandmother, for instance, 30 times. You don't need to sit with grandmother 30 times. Really, one or two sessions, you're going to get the full downloaded message, and then you have to apply what the plant medicine told you to your life. And sometimes people don't want to do the work. They just, oh, I need another ceremony. No, you need to work on what the last ceremony told you to do.
And grandmother's ayahuasca, for those that don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's important. I was about to say, because, this is the thing, right? There's a lot of profane people who are not necessarily, versed into the lingo that we're using as well. So I think it's important to go as detailed as possible in order for them to understand. So it's important for you to add. So grandmother is ayahuasca, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so, but ayahuasca in essence then would be Mother Earth, or something that taps into the essence of, because by grandmother, usually when you think of grandmother, it really is a very anchoring energy. It's a refuge to our representation of what peace and love and just absolute and total generosity should be represented as, right? And it's interesting, for example, if you see, for example, there's a lot of, for example, marriages where you'll see the mother of the wife or the husband who doesn't like one who doesn't like the partner, for example, and then they bring life, and then the children, the fruit of these unions are usually regarded as, not pure or not of value sometimes by the grandparents, when technically, there's nothing more pure than that, right? I always say, giving life. And so these kids eventually get to grow with also traumas projected, I would say, as they grow, but also as they were probably in the womb. How do you go about protecting yourself as a woman and as a man from these kind of attacks, which are, highly spiritual, even though that person might not be doing anything, mystical per se, but just the projection of the thought, the negative thought, is magic in a way. So how do you go about protecting yourself from these kind of things?
So every day, someone should have some type of spiritual hygiene practice in place. What I like to tell people is you get up and brush your teeth every day, right? You get up and take a shower every day. So you can't go clean the shower, and 3 months later, why is there soap scum? Why is there mildew in the shower? So it's the same thing with spiritual protection. When you wake up, it should be certain prayers you just automatically say to protect you from known and unknown things that may be coming at you. And so if you just get in the habit of doing that, stuff will fall off you like water. It won't even hit. It'll just get close, fall off, because you're already in alignment with saying your different prayers. Because again, you don't know what direction it's coming from. So if you're just saying general prayers in the manner you're most comfortable praying, by asking the creator, your guardian angels to protect you, to return to the sender anything that's not in alignment with your highest and greatest good, you're going to be protected. So that's the number one thing, calling in your own protection. And then you won't have to worry about people consciously or subconsciously ill wishing you or trying to send bad things your way or negative energy.
Sister Nikki Morgan
Yeah.
and Sister Onika and Nikki Monty, when she comes back, how did this journey got revealed to you? Were you always versed in these knowledges? And if not, what triggered the change and the progress, I would better say?
Well, for me, I was born with memories that weren't from this vessel. And I would look at myself in the mirror and say, wait, my face is not going to change. Like it was baffling to me. And I was multi-orgasmic by the time I was 15.
So explain that, please. What does it mean to be multi-orgasmic?
So many people. Okay, so I'll approach it from a Taoist perspective. Taoists speak of nine levels of orgasm, and in general, people in the world think that by the time they get to their fourth level of orgasm, which is, you start to feel the tension build in the body. You feel the squeezing and the pulsation of your womb or your prostate. Well, there are other levels of orgasm, and the ninth level speaks to a mini death, or as the French call it, the petite mort. And so I have been able to access the petite mort from when I was 15, and then eventually it opened me up to being multi-orgasmic, to walking orgasmically, where I experience ecstasy and bliss just from being happy to see a friend, a sunrise, being able to be in this. Yeah.
No, it was important for you to explain that, because automatically when you see this, the construction of the idea of orgasm, we hear orgasm, we automatically think like,
No,
and it can be different things,
No, the only reason orgasm feels so amazing is, again, because we're coming from, these physical bodies are coming from a limited perspective of self, and orgasm in essence, because it shuts down that prefrontal cortex, it opens up to your infinites. So it is a reconciling between your infinite self and your vessel's understanding of I'm like this. So it's like trying to push a lot of water through a tiny little hole, and then eventually the hole kind of has to open up a little bit.
I get it.
So what it did was it opened me up to understanding even more about what I am in this vessel, in this time, and my connectedness to everything and everyone. So it doesn't make things easier, as far as, you know, the things you go through are still the things that you go through. However, like when I first engage in physical exchange, sexual exchange, because I already knew what I was, I took a year to decide on who I was going to choose. And then when I did, and I shared with my girlfriends spoke of like the pain and the challenges that they had, and I naturally offered them, like, oh, well, maybe you want to do it with my partner, you know, not understanding yet not understanding yet how and what that meant for that paradigm that they were holding. So I've just been very open, and it sometimes is extremely painful because you open up in others in a different way. But it allows me to be able to be grounded in my pain because I'm grounded in my pleasure.
I understand.
Yeah.
But for somebody who doesn't understand for somebody who doesn't understand what you just dropped now, when you say something, you say, "What about you? Was my partner?" What does that mean, and how? What does that consist of exactly? As in, you literally share your partner with them, or what was the process about it? Because you were when at what age, if you don't mind me asking, did you started to really interact physically with a partner, sexually?
So
if you don't mind me asking, of course.
No, I don't mind. I'm fine with it. So I started looking for a partner by the time I was 13,
Okay.
and by 14 I found one. 15 was when I was making my offers, or I mean, I met when I made that offer, and it gave me a paradigm of, no, not everybody thinks this way, and I truly just saw everyone as me. So then being able to now use that openness with discernment was my walk.
So you have no sense of jealousy whatsoever?
No, there's definitely jealousy, but I'll get jealous. For a little while, I was jealous of people that were able to take naps in the middle of the day, and that was a real jealousy, and I had to deal with it. I really had to deal with it.
Okay.
It was so serious. It was, and so again, we all have, while we all may perceive these value systems differently, it's still something that exists, and all these emotions have a place. They all have a place. So you don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, I was angry. Angry burns things up. Shame slows things down. Guilt halts things. You know, anxiety, you're looking in the future, and so you're not able to see the present. You know, all of these emotions have mechanical, very technical things, because that is how the bodies work. But that's part of decolonizing our emotions. So once I was able to find the jealousy piece, I was like, oh, okay, let me step back and see, what story am I telling myself that's making me feel this jealousy? What is it indicating for me? Because jealousy is a comparative thing. Jealousy is a self-valuing thing. But just because someone else is doing that doesn't make me less valuable.
True.
And so for me, my perspective when I offered was, I'm having all of this joy. Let me share.
Yeah, that's powerful. Not for everybody, indeed, because it requires, I guess, for you, it's not even an exercise. It's just who you are.
Yes,
so I understand this perspective. Sister Onika, what was your moment that?
Man, what was my moment? Well,
or your moments, if there was many. I don't know.
So my start began when I was 19, when I went to massage therapy school. That's kind of like my background.
Okay.
And me and my mom, we went to massage therapy school together and graduated. So that was actually my very first introduction to like Eastern medicines, chakra centers, Reiki, things like that. But where I'm from in the Midwest, they would price stuff so high where no one really could afford it. Like a person of color living on like a paycheck to paycheck type of thing. So I'd always like wonder about like Reiki and things, but never could actually afford to get into it. But that was my introduction to like alternative forms of healing. So then fast forward, my grandmother had passed away September 24th, 2013. And 3 days later, when I was sleeping in my movie room, she came to me. She literally like woke me up and came to me. And she was this huge, just mass of energy. It wasn't like in the movies where you see the little apparition. She was a huge mass of energy. And it was a whole bunch of stringy balls of light. And she was like this close to my face. I don't know why, but she was this close to my face. And when I woke up, I just remember looking and was like, grandmother. I have no idea even how I knew it was her, but I knew that was my grandmother. And the moment I said that, it felt like she just threw a blanket of bliss over me. I felt like I was like levitating. It was the most beautiful feeling in the world. And I did not want to leave it. Eventually, it like dissipated. And my parents were sleeping down the hall. And I jetted down the hall. And I woke them up and I told them what happened. I was like, grandmother just came to me. And my dad thought I was dreaming. He was like, oh my God, you know, she came to you in a dream. No, daddy, this just happened. Like she woke me up. Like, and we was all just sitting there crying. And so after that, though, I became like crazy sensitive. Like it felt like I stuck my finger in a power outlet where I start like hearing spirit. I start feeling when stuff was in the room. And I'm like, is anybody else feeling this? Like, this is crazy. And so normal people that are supposed to be just getting a massage, people start coming to me with like stuff attached to them. And I'm like, it like totally reminded me of like the movie The Exorcist. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know, because I didn't know what to do. And so one particular girl that came, she regressed, I think, to maybe her 5-year-old self, but something came out of her and was like, get the F off of me. And her voice changed. And I was just, and I'm literally like with a singing bowl, like la, la, la. And I was like, whoa, okay. And so I just kept calling her name because it felt like something just pushed her in the passenger seat and took over the car. And I just kept calling her name over and over again. I was like, sis, can you hear me, sis? And it's just over and over and over again. And I went through that for probably an hour. And then something my massage teacher said to me popped in my head. And it was like, what my massage teacher said was like, one time she was massaging a man. And when she got to his IT band, he started crying. And after the massage, she found out he was in a car accident where I think he broke his thigh bone or something. And so she was saying that she woke up that muscle memory. So I don't know why, but that popped in my head. So I said, let me finish the session. Let me go up the chakras. So because I was at the heart when this happened. So then I did the throat. She's still cursing me out in another voice. I did the third eye and it completely like regressed back into her. And it was like she just slumped down. It's like, am I really looking at this right now? So I did her crown.
You were in disbelief.
Yeah, I was just like, wow. So after I did her crown, I was like, sis, and she was like, huh? And I was like, the session is over. Okay. And she was like, oh, that was so relaxing. Do you remember anything from the session? Okay, let me go get you some water. Let me have you sit on the couch. So I went and got her some water and I came back and I was just like, yeah, sis, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think you might have something on you. And she was like, I kind of figured that. And I'm thinking like, what? You just gonna let me walk in that knife like that? Like,
Couldn't you
you
let me
warn
know?
nobody? So I was like, okay. And so I was like, yes, sis, you need some help. And unfortunately, this out of my scope of practice, I just couldn't start it. So yeah, but good luck though. I don't know what to tell you. So So, God thought that was funny. So God sent me 8 more people like that.
Crazy.
And so after the 7th person, I was like, this is getting out of hand. Because why are you sending me these people? I don't know what to do. So around the 9th person, that's why I said, you know what? So the movie The Exorcist popped in my mind. So I said, let me become ordained. Let me start there.
Yeah,
Because they keep coming. So I need to help these people. So that's when I became an ordained minister, December 16th, 2014. And then after that, I started looking into traditional African religions as far as getting initiated and everything. And I really started meditating with my higher self and really just getting a very, very, very strong connection with my Ori, my higher self. And they was just giving me downloads and telling me how to help the people. And my higher self literally downloaded a full energy system to me, which I now call the womb trauma release system. And so that's why I start helping to clear these blockages up on people to help them heal themselves by using my energy system. But I got thrown in it. I wanted to massage people and do facials, but they had another, plan for me.
Deep. Sister Nicki Monty, actually, we can't really see. The microphone is blocking the view of. Yes, indeed. Nicki Monty, what about you? What was the trigger point for the journey to start, if I may ask? Or what was the decisive moment for you to just really, just like fully, just step out of the etiquettes you've labeled yourself with? DJ producer, label owner, a radio woman, da da da, label this, label that. What was the decisive moment?
Well, before I was even really heavy into production and DJing, I knew. I worked in the music industry, so you already know about that story. But when I had a dream, I was going through a process of divorce, and I had an injunction against my ex-husband because he put a gun to my head, and I was homeless in a domestic violence shelter and all this stuff. And then, relationships with the courts, and who has money wins. So he got custody, and I was pregnant at the time, had my daughter. 10 days later, he came over with the same crap. So I jumped on a quick AirTran flight. If anybody remembers AirTran,
I remember.
It was like a $10 flight for me and my son, and we jet to New York to my mother's house. And then I had a dream when I was there at my mother's house that my son was going to be taken and he was going to drown in a pool. And it did come to fruition. So that's when, and then days later after he transitioned and we did cremate him, there were footprints in the hallway. There were his footprints in the hallway. And I was crying and I was screaming. I was like, Mommy, Juanita, my sister, Juanita, do you see this shit? And we all started breaking down, and we were like, we thought it was crazy, but we heard knocking at our door, but we just thought it was just whatever. So after that happened, then I really started to understand, because when I was younger, I dabbled in, like witchcraft and shit and, all kinds of other things. And my mother would take us to these rituals with different priests and things like that, because my father had a lot of dark trauma that he was dealing with, and she knew that it was passed on. So she was trying to deal with it the best way she knew how. And with her doing that, I started to really tap in and make like potions and all kinds of stuff, but never really went all the way through with it. But I always had an intuition. I always had some type of spiritual connection, a soul connection with different things, with plants, with food, with animals, with people that have had hardships, and I could see things. And then after that, the shit like something just turned in my body. And then I was given the opportunity to create art, to get into photography. My son, it's as if when he left, he gave me all these gifts so that I could create income. And it became music production. It became DJing. It became photography. And all the people that needed to help me, including you, with all the things that I was doing, people just kept stepping in so that I can complete my mission with these things. And then when the medicine came, especially last year, when I went on a journey and I said, all right, I need some help. And I was following this gentleman called Chief Nighthawk, and he's here in Atlanta. And
Chief, what's because you said it a bit fast for people to
Chief
hear you.
Nighthawk. Chief Nighthawk.
Okay.
He's here in
Okay.
Atlanta. And he was my friend on Facebook for a minute, but I couldn't get the inclination to contact him. So one day they said, all right, now it's time to open that door for communication. Contacted him, real open, went there with my family, introduced myself. Next time I went there, I was doing combo, clearing myself out. I said, oh, this is great. And then he kept wanting me to learn more. So then he said, hey, come meet the family, come to the psychedelic conference. And then I met everybody doing all the medicine, and I saw how people were communicating, just going through these different stages of consciousness. Like it wasn't something that I was ever exposed to really in that type of form or fashion, like a group
Yeah.
of people that look like me, that are doing the medicine, that have had traumas, that are processing it, that are working. And it's ever since last year, October, when I really had the capability of learning and having mentorship, that things present themselves as they come along. And I give thanks to my ancestors for that, because Chief Nighthawk is a wonderful medicine man, great healer. He worked with my mother, and I'm noticing that as I do my medicine and I step into my journey, which I wish I could have done earlier, but I had to go through my lessons. People are popping up now and showing themselves to be allies and supportive to me on my journey. So my son was the catalyst to my awakening.
Powerful. Powerful. It's amazing how when we get to respond to the calling, and no matter the form it takes, and usually in very traumatic or painful ways, it seems like, as you said very well, things unfold in very, very powerful, positive ways. Even through the challenges, you tend to see challenges in a completely and with a different spectacle, using a different source of perspective on the actual challenge you're encountering. It's pretty amazing. And so now that you have given us perspective on your respective callings and what has really gotten you to embrace this journey, um, I would like to address some questions that have been asked in the room. We have Sister Kiara will say, circling back to the initial topic regarding orgasms. When she wrote, he said, I have met women who have never had an orgasm. What is blocked in their spirit or vessel? According to Nikki Morgan, come on, tell us. According to you.
So there are many different reasons. Everything is unique. Everyone is unique. So I'll give the overarching understanding of orgasm. Orgasm is surrender. You don't reach for an orgasm. When you're like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Like, no, that is a memorized orgasm. That is a prefrontal cortex orgasm. Orgasm that we're talking about is surrendering to self. So you will find that you may be your mind might be thinking about the dishes, or you might be like, oh my God, like is my vulva ugly, or you may not even have that top of mind, but because it's something that you've held for so long, there's a root aspect that is holding you from surrendering. There's tension in the body as oh my gosh, Onika, I knew that.
It's okay. It's okay. It's the stress of the life.
Actually, this is how we're getting to know each other, which I'm very excited about because I've been waiting.
Well, fantastic. This is, you see, it happens to be through the show. So this is a live encounter. So we love
Thank
it.
you for being in the video.
Right.
Thank you for trusting me with it.
Yes, but you might find like that muscle memory. There's a great book called The Body Keeps Score.
I heard of that book, yes.
Yes, and but or even if you're studying epigenetics, or even if you can just walk through your day and realize, when I was reading that book, I felt tension in this shoulder. Why? Or when someone said something, like, I tensed up my whole body. There's other things that are happening, and so this is where that reparation, or what did you call it?
What did I call it? when you get that you call it justice
of the
yeah.
body,
Yeah.
reparation of the body. You know, you have to give yourself time to understand what is going on with this body, because it's not surrendering. It's not surrendering to your own pleasure. And by the way, when you fake that, you give an embodied message to your universe that my pleasure doesn't matter. And then you will continue to receive that.
And you know what? I also feel people pleasing. I feel like the woman thinks, let me make him think I had an orgasm to please him, even though they know they did not have an orgasm.
Yeah.
And instead of being honest with themselves, baby, you came, I actually did not. Instead of just
It's actually that simple. Just say it.
yeah.
It is. And if they want, and if they don't have the, if they don't wish to have the patience to work with you through that, then okay, then they're just not that person.
I also feel women sometimes, and I'm just speaking for women that I know, that, well, he should know what to do. How should he know how to please your body?
Exactly.
Like, where did you get that concept from?
Thank you, sister. Thank you to come to our aid.
Tell him he should know.
Well, you should really.
Well,
like, I mean,
orgasm.
didn't you know that all vaginas are different and all like I might caress your ear and you might get an orgasm from that. Like, God knows what you like.
Yeah, and another thing too is that I know men that have talked to me and told me that they faked it so that they can get out of it.
I faked it before.
Okay, yeah.
So I faked it several times.
You know, it's a two-way street, and then that's how we come back to understanding our bodies.
Yeah.
You know, like if you love yourself, or if you're open enough with yourself, or even working towards that, then you can have better conversations with your partner.
Hold on. Have you ladies faked it before?
Yeah.
Of course.
I have.
Of course.
Not now.
Not
but
now.
Not for a long
in my life, I have. I'm 6 kids in the game. I ain't faking nothing now.
It means it was good. It's been good.
But you know what? Have you ever faked laughing at a joke that it just wasn't funny?
Yeah.
Or do you keep showing up to a job that you hate, but you keep showing up?
Yeah.
The conversation is about being true to yourself. So
exactly.
You know, and you know, it's and this energy, I wanted to give just a shout out to Pascal Reynolds, who was the doctor for Lincoln, and he was, you know, a Black man that brought that was also an occultist and also brought in this tantric work and this sexuality, spirituality aspect, and he was using this work with Lincoln to free our people, you know. So we're so caught up sometimes by the patterns that are happening in our life and saying, oh my God, does my breath stink? Oh my gosh. Instead of being true to yourself, that you're not even recognizing the kind of change that you can make in your life and everyone else's if you just allow yourself. So again, when the means or the lesson or the medicine becomes more important than the fear, that's when you're really going to take off.
On that, Sister Lorraine is asking, how do you start the conversation with men without them feeling like they're being attacked? Many men are defensive and sensitive on that topic.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
If there's not a man, I feel that a man should answer that question.
Yes.
Honestly.
I can answer, but I wanted to get your perspective before I answer that question. But
yeah, I'm not a man, so I mean,
you have the harmony of both in you, right? So all of us we do.
My grandmother always told me, you get more flies with honey than shit. And so sometimes you just have to be sweet with your words. It's all about delivery. And also sometimes if you like, let's say if you guys are not seeing eye to eye and you need him to do something, sometimes it's better to take yourself out of the equation and go through someone he respects. So,
Yeah.
like, let's say you've been saying this a gazillion times and it's falling on deaf ears, but you know he really, really respects his uncle or something, and you have a great relationship with his uncle. That would be awesome to talk to him. I've really been trying to get Mike to do X, Y, and Z. Da, 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 da. I feel like it'd be great for us or the family. Blah 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 blah. What do you think, Uncle Ben? Oh yeah, I think you're onto something there. Da, 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 da. Oh, okay. You think you could maybe talk to him? Don't tell him we talk, but you think you might be able to talk to him. You know what? I'm gonna give it a go. And then when Uncle Ben comes and talks to him, it's gonna seem like coming from a man that he respects and a person that he values their opinion. So a lot of times men don't want to feel like you're trying to son them. Like, I'm not your son, I'm your mate, I'm your equal. Like, quit trying to tell me what to do. So sometimes when they get advice from another man, they be like, you know what, I'm gonna take that advice. So sometimes you just gotta go through other means, or just say it sweetly. Sweetheart, could you do this? Men, they still like to feel in charge, to have their ego stroked. You be like, oh honey, could you take that trash out for me? And I'm so tired. Rub their shoulder a little bit. They be like, baby, I'm be on it. So it's all about your delivery. That's why I got 6 kids.
And congratulations to you, because it is a very, 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 very
I
beautiful
like
thing.
that too. But I will say just my perspective on it is so I'm omnisexual, and so
what is omnisexual?
So I can have relationship and sexual exchange with anything in seen and unseen. And when it comes to relationships, right, and points of intimacy, for me, speaking to my partner and letting them know, hey, there's something happening with me. So I'm coming to you from a place of vulnerability. Again, that surrender, right? I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm letting you know, hey, so this is what I'm feeling. This is what I feel insecure about. I didn't even want to tell you because I didn't know how you were going to react. But this is how I feel. And so do you think we can work on it together? Coming from a vulnerable place, coming from your 0 point, coming from your soul space.
Yeah.
It opens up. And if the response is, bitch, get out of here, then you already know where you stand, and you may have to address the relationship that you actually have.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, sisters, on what you just said. From a man's perspective, I like both of the approach that you touched on, and I think something that you can definitely Onika's version of it is because you see there is a mothering aspect of it that as men reassures us. Nikki, your approach is like, well, this is what's, and it's like, and if I'm putting myself in the position and you're telling me this, and I'm like, so automatically I feel like I automatically have a slight sense of guilt, and so if you are not putting me at ease by the way you ended it, then okay, the way you ended it is like, can we work on this together? Okay, now I'm more relaxed, because at first I'm like, okay, what have I done? Because this is the thing, and I think that goes back again to us as kids. What have I done wrong? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean. So and this goes back to traumas again that we have. I remember one of my relationships that I had in the past, where the girl would tell me, look, this is not working, but yet I've successfully before that made her reach orgasm, at least what I thought she was having, which seemed like an orgasm, and she said it was an orgasm, but it was orgasm. So until that very moment where she said she didn't have them anymore. And so the way she presented it was more like, the problem is you. And it's like, yeah, but hold on, it takes two to tango, so I need to understand what it is that I'm not doing right now in comparison to what I was doing, what it is that I'm not doing right now in comparison to what I was doing before that worked. And I think that also a lot of the time, Some women don't necessarily have the 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 right lingo, and it's also a very complicated topic to approach because you know you don't quite know how to actually come about and sort of like express it. Because there's just no beating around the bush when it comes to this conversation. You
Right.
just got to tell it as it is, or you're
Right.
gonna. But then it's how you do the damage control, which just. But let's work on this together. you
Yeah.
know.
And another thing too, Boddhi, is because I've traveled to Europe and because I had my formative years in Europe, Europeans are much more direct and open in communication when it comes to the aspects of sexuality. What I notice here is it's very much different. There are people here that do like direct communication, but far and few in between. And even myself, sometimes I may even be challenged. So I have to admit, like sometimes I may be challenged with speaking on that subject because I don't want to put anybody in a space where they may feel like they didn't do their job, or maybe it's just be quiet, so that it doesn't rile up anything because the moment itself was so beautiful. I just don't want to create more distress and have that conversation, or maybe have it at a later time. So the communication here is very different. And it really speaks to, if you want to communicate, and I do love to communicate. So, and I want to talk more and express myself more. And I don't want to be in partnerships or relationships or friendships or anything that limits me from being my true and honest self. So, yeah, but over there, especially in 2018 when I was there,
Yeah.
being in Amsterdam, and
That sounds like
man, I mean,
Well, I mean, it's Amsterdam
yeah,
too.
yeah, and I was
Hold
like,
on.
wow.
But hold on, though.
They still cracking like this.
But
And
check this out. This is another topic that I'm sorry we're gonna have to touch on this one because it's a very complicated one too. Let me prepare for it. So sometimes it happens that some people are very oblivious to the body odors,
yo,
He said oblivious what?
to their body odors, to their
Look.
smells.
Body
Look.
odors.
How is that possible?
no, it's
Look,
real. It's real. It's
I
true.
have to
It's
say, I
here.
testify, and I have been not only a witness but an actor of having. So it's like you have the finest thing. You're like, you finally get to, and then it's like, bro, like, yo, no. So you don't. But okay, so me, I was raised like very polite. So I can't just be telling you that, yo. So I'm trying to find ways to tell you, like, the shower, like, let's figure out. You cannot be blunt. And I've seen guys who are like, yeah, you stink. I can't do this shit. I gotta get out. It's like, no, you don't treat somebody like that. You don't know. Maybe, she had a rough day. I don't know. Like everybody goes through. But and that person would not even notice that the coochie was not fresh.
I think it goes back to communication and stuff.
But
Like if
yo,
you're about to make
but hold
love,
on,
No.
Onika, hold on, yo. I'm sorry, man. Like, this is the problem. Like, as a man, we are expected to be like, well, men's are. Nah, I'm very, very sensitive to smells. Like,
I can attest to that. I can attest. We shared space for a little bit. Brother, you're clean, and I'm clean.
Thank you.
And we don't play that. So
We don't
and
play
if
that
there was
shit.
something, but me, I've had to talk to people and be like, hey, man, even communicating with my children or with friends, I'd be like, hey, man, you a little hot. You want to go take care of that? We got a towel.
No, for real.
Shower.
But then people get mad. Yo, what do you think? I'm not.
But I'm like, no, but no disrespect, but you strong right now. And that's how I do it. But again, I do it in a very loving way, and people know when I'm talking to them, like, hey, man, you strong. Can you let me help you out.
But my point is,
and I offer
why do you wait
solutions.
until somebody tells you that shit? This is my thing, and that's something that bothers me. So, is it a question of education? Because I've noticed some people, for example, I won't drop nobody's name, but
Training.
family's clean, everybody's clean. But then it's almost like they take pleasure in just not being clean. It's like, dude,
That just speaks to the psyche of the person
well,
too.
to be honest, that's like a sign of an entity attachment, because entities love filth. And so when a person, when they start showing like a filthy house, filthy room, they haven't taken a bath for days, that's a huge sign that they got something on them. Because like you said, that's not normal. You know, that's
Yeah,
not
that
a
speaks to
normal
something going on.
trait to just be filthy. You know, I thought you meant like before lovemaking to tell them to hop in the shower, but you're just talking about in general. So
I'm
if
talking, but there's
someone's
a
very
general aspect, but there's the
comfortable,
before love making when it's like, you know, you're in the heat of the moment, you know, obviously the first you start kissing, right? You know, you foreplay, whatever, but when you, like the moment you start approaching the zone, you're like, oof, Lord have mercy. This one is not an easy situation.
I want to bring in some biological information as well.
Yes,
So
very important.
sometimes, you know, so we've also been conditioned, right, that like we're supposed to smell like perfume, we're supposed to smell like flowers,
No,
we're supposed to
not
smell
that
all these
much. Not
things,
that much.
right?
That's not exaggeration. That's very American, though. A lot of guys in the States think like that.
Truly.
I've
Oh
seen.
yeah, definitely
Yeah.
American. What 1000% it's American. But in general,
Mm.
these pheromones that these bodies give off, there's an indication that if you are completely disgusted with your partner's body odor, it is an indication that you should not procreate.
that part.
So you could be
Yeah.
forcing that because I'm gonna tell you, I mean, for me, I've had
Go ahead,
lovers,
girl. Drop it.
Say it.
I've had lovers
Say it like it
that
is.
begged me after I finished doing my martial arts training and I'm sweating up the place. They're like, no, please do not shower.
Yeah.
Multiple lovers, please do not shower.
Yes, I can attest to that.
And
One of my exes were like that. I was like, no. She would go from a run, come back from another guy. Don't shower.
okay.
No,
So
but because there's that stinky stink and there's that good
yeah,
stink.
the growls that
There's that stinky stink and there's that good stink. It's like
Right.
that nice little.
And so I just want to open that up because right there's so many layers to this conversation, and someone who just has a pussy that smells like pussy may feel like, oh my gosh, this is disgusting because of whatever they've been thinking that this is disgusting, and so they hold that. So it's just to be able to understand and know your body enough to be able to say, hey, like, yeah, this is just how this is my scent, or this is how I, you know, and then it changes from culture to culture. Y'all just finished talking about Europe. Let's talk about all of the countries in Africa, right? And then the different foods, and let's not forget about Southeast Asia, and let's not forget about India.
South
you know what I'm saying? And
America,
China.
Look,
Like,
I'm gonna tell you
different
this much, Mama. I'm gonna tell you this much. Not to cut you, my sister.
Yes, please.
But yo, a lot of our sisters on the continent, no, their primordial care is no. Even they teach you from the moment you're a little girl, and little boys as well are taught by their uncles or the fathers. Like, but most of the time is the woman of the house that look after both genders, making sure that they know what it is to be clean. So from a very early age, you're taught how to be clean. So I think it's also regional, but and also what you're saying though. But echoing what you're saying, I think the new generation now is probably a little bit more careless, and it's like, let me just be me, let me just be free. It's like, dude, as Nicki Monty said, it's like, yo, you're a little hot right now, that's the new trend. It's like let's keep it natural,
but
not too natural, please.
Yeah, but this too on the continent, they have old ways and old traditions that we've lost here. So, and they're also cleanliness is next to godliness, right? That's how they think. The spiritual aspect of cleanliness, very, very important. And my grandfather, my great grandmother, my grandmother stressed that heavy. You don't have to have the nicest shit, but keep it tight. So, and yeah, but growing up, there were a lot of perfume soaps, a lot of things to mask our natural smells. I don't even wear deodorant anymore. I don't do anything like that. I wear oils and different.
But this has to do with
things
the food
like
you
that.
eat too, right, sister? That's the thing.
Yes,
So
I also
as you ladies were saying, the food, what you consume, you take in your body is also going to be, translating into different sort of sense. So,
and we discussed that before in one of the conversations that we had. Just certain things like pineapple, cranberry juice, black tart cherry, certain herbs.
Drink your lemon water.
Yeah, lemons to keep odors, chlorophyll, high chlorophyll content plants.
Take time to fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Nowadays, I'm seeing the trend. So I was talking with So the other day I posted something on my Instagram saying that I've learned through time that I'm paraphrasing my own self, but because I kind of forgot what I said, but something in the line of I've learned that it is important before you decide to embrace sharing a path and a journey with somebody. It is important to observe them, to see if there's reciprocity, if there's care, if there is a sense of connection on layers that are deeper than just the appearance, basically, which is an obvious thing, but as obvious as it is, a lot of the time we get caught into this matrix of, we're still colonized in the way we look at some things. And it's like, and somebody hit me up and said, how long have you been single? And I said, well, it's been about, 2-3 years, precisely 2 years. She was like, oh, okay. And I've been single for some time now myself. And, I've noticed that, men seems to at least for her, according to her experience, men were interested to be with women just for the sake of not necessarily being alone and just to have somebody as a companion. But then whenever given the opportunity, we'll just easily go, experience something else with another person. I was like, well, yes, to my experience, I can attest to that. It is somehow very true. But I've also noticed that there's a new generation of women because of, I guess, it's almost like the roles have switched. Like men have become a little bit, how can I say this? In other words, women are a bit more like straightforward, and it's like, okay, if I'm not getting my way, like, fuck off, kind of thing.
The feminization of men.
Voilà, that's the right word. That was perfect. Thank you. Thank you for
that goes to what you consume. There's a lot of chemicals in our foods, in our waters, in our shower. When you take a shower, what you're consuming on TV, how they're engineering the food and the medications and all these different things. So the women and how we're processing, especially now at this time, we need our men to step up. So this is not something that's new. This is something that's coming back because we need specific energy and support for ourselves. We need truth and honesty, and we need to be on our mission. So we can't have these programmed men coming around here trying to request things from us when we have things that we have to do. Because we know what we are, especially if you know who you are, then you know what you need. And you have to stop the shit at the door. So we have to be straightforward because, I'm not going to deal with somebody that is still watching all types of TV, eating all kinds of food, doing all these things.
Right.
We need to know specific things because you're going to be entering our womb space, or you're going to be in our space, or you're going to be around our children. So how else would you want me to talk? Sorry. And it's like, and that's the cultivation of tribe too. Everybody has to be in alignment with specific things so that we can raise up our nation, so that we can raise up our children to have alignments with their comrades and specific types of mind thinking, so that we can free ourselves from this mental and spiritual enslavement. Like, I'm not going to sit here and waste my time with somebody and they're drinking certain things and they're eating certain things. I can't waste my time with that because I'm not going to do it. And I don't want you to feel bad because that's your choice. You have to learn your lessons. So straightforward is the best way to be.
Okay, so Onika, how do you describe the work that is required for you to, how long have you been with your partner or your husband for that matter?
You said, how long have I been with my husband?
Yes.
I've been with him going on 3 years, I believe.
And how do you go about, maintaining a healthy relationship? Because you were talking earlier about, the process that it took him as well to, making peace with his own traumas and such. And how is that now that is he still going through that journey, or has he completed the journey and now actually he's anchored in his true self?
Well, you never really complete the journey.
Well,
But he's made tremendous leaps and bounds. So we really work on our communication and just really hearing what each other is saying. He had his biggest releases with the plant medicine ceremonies. It took approximately like 8 plant medicine ceremonies later.
Wow.
But when it's like when it broke, like everything just came out and it released, and it was very, very powerful. But I would describe him as a very dominant male, very alpha, very dominant, gorilla energy, all of that stuff. And so you got to know how to tame the gorilla, because even though they're a gorilla, they got that gentle side. And it's funny because in a plant medicine ceremony, he literally was like a gorilla for 2 hours. And he told me all about his past life. That's like a whole nother story. So, but I'm saying gorilla for a reason. And so, but yeah, just knowing how to, so I'm the type of female where I want to be led. I want to submit, but you got to know what you're doing. So I'm not going to submit to no mess. But if you know what you're doing, yes, take my hand. You can lead me. So we have to talk. Like we have to see eye to eye. I have to be heard. You will not shut down my throat chakra and everything. And so we've learned how to communicate as far as what are triggers for each other. What are things that work. I know with him, those sweet words, that really works. I can get pretty much anything I want. But another man may be different, but that's what I find that helps our growth is communication. Neither one of us is perfect. We both have tempers. I could probably flip over a table if I get mad enough. But I don't. But you be thinking about it, like I could flip this table over right now. Right. It's like I will clear your chakra.
Watch the traumatic vision for the kids.
So right, that Kali energy will come quick. So yeah, just really being communicative. And so with me, I find myself when I communicate, when I be like, honey, I don't like how you said that to me. I'm a goddess. Don't forget that. But that you hurt my feelings. And he'll be looking at me, and then he don't say it then. He'll come back like an hour later. Yeah, baby, I'm sorry. It'll never be right then. But I get it out, though. I let him know. And then later on, he'll like tell me that, he didn't mean to hurt my feelings, or, he didn't mean to be so rough. Because my man is from New York, so that's a whole nother level. So they all the way out the box rude with it. And I'm a like Southern belle. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a country girl. You can't talk to me any old kind of way. Don't be bro me and son, yo. It's sweetheart, honey, or goddess. So it's mainly our communication, but it's really taken us very, very far. But it's an everyday process. I don't want people thinking like it's a magic wand and it's now done. Every day we work on it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nikki Morgan. What about you? How do you? Well, it's a personal question, but how do you perceive yourself now at this stage of your life, the woman that you've grown to be thus far, and that you are yet to become? When it comes to your interaction, and considering who you are.
Yeah. So I perceive myself as part of creation. I perceive my masculine energy and my feminine energy, which are both of me and of this existence. Something that I am continually looking to balance. I'm recognizing that the rise of that divine feminine can come in many forms and many shapes. The dark aspects of our femininity, where you might want to cut a head off, but also, but in that same space, it might be the seductress. And because that divine feminine is rising, because it's been suppressed so long, I've also had to cultivate my divine masculine aspect of myself to say, hold up, let me make sure I create this space and this container for myself, because that is what the masculine is supposed to do. The masculine is allowing to hold the space for the for my wild, creative, unapologetic feminine. So that is where ritual comes into play. That is my masculine. My masculine offers me, okay, you know what? If you're gonna be running around and doing all these things, make sure that I make sure I'm drinking my water. I make sure that I can look at the numbers to make sure that my money is straight, so that I can be cared for in the way that I need to, or have the keen eye to know that whoever's in my life, there's details and logic. So it does help. And I'll share this just with our audience. It does help to know the characteristics of divine feminine and divine masculine, or your yin and your yang. And so I do play very much with that as a divine being. I play with it in all of the ways, and I quite enjoy it. So yeah, and all of it serves me. All of it serves me.
Beautiful. Nikki Monty.
Sir.
Yes, madam.
Sir.
What about you?
Say
Same
that
question.
question.
Same question that I asked Nikki Morgan is applying to you.
Can you repeat that question?
I will paraphrase myself because I can't do the same question. So basically, where do you see yourself, or how do you perceive yourself, considering the journey so far, the woman that you are now and you are yet to be, and how would you say you observe the way you function in terms of interactions with a partner?
Well, I don't. I just.
Well, the guy was like, "Yo, what's up?" So it's like, no, I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't. It's like every day is different. I know I'm a warrior on a mission. I'm grateful to have my comrades here with me in the flesh. Casey. Casey's one of them. We're all here and we're all in agreement, and we have great work to do. So every day is different. I'm different every day. So I'm learning how to flow with it, because I'm very rigid and I'm very hard-headed. But
indeed.
I know that the source energy and all that walk with me are, there's certain requirements. So because I'm on a mission, I have to be within certain protocols to have a productive outcome in my life. So I just sit back and I flow every day, because every day is different. So I don't perceive anything. And I give thanks to the medicine that I did today, because it's helping me create that within myself. I mean, it's coming on so fast. It's crazy. I've never spoken like that before.
True.
But it's good to say it, because it really is what it is. I'm not the same person every day.
That's very, very powerful. It's true.
So I'm going to flow like water. Flow like water. Yeah.
Powerful, man. Well,
that's what I choose to aim to do every day. But again, every day is different.
And that's the beauty of being alive and being a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be able to walk this earth walk and to have these conversations and be grateful, especially for you allowing your audience to see this.
Oh man, I'm actually really, really humbled that we have enough trust for one another and respect for one another, for you to even feel comfortable enough to bring those goddesses along the way and allow me as a man to experience you ladies and really grace all of us with the knowledge and with your personal experiences. Because it is indeed inspiring everybody, and I think that as much as we can be as men, right, sometimes very much the way we are, it is very humbling, and given that it's interesting. Given I just lost my mother about 3 months ago now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah.
She
I
was
was.
an awesome woman.
She was, man.
She
She
was
was
an
a
awesome
beautiful woman.
woman.
Gratitude for her life.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Man, indeed. I know my mother. So you see, interestingly enough, some of my personal challenges were my identity. So my mother was white, American Belgian. My father was mixed race, as they say here, for example. So Central African and French. So black father, white mother, and so technically I'm a quarter black, right? Um, but given that I was born and raised in Central African Republic, I've always I was raised in the countryside. So I've only acknowledged my skin color when I was 18. I just was oblivious to the fact that I was white. I was complete. I mean, it never occurred to me as a child that I was white. I just and actually when kids were making fun of me because I was white, I was getting mad because I was like, "But you said I'm black." I had never until I moved out of Central African Republic to Europe really processed that concept. But my mother never fought against that. She never, my father was, uh, however, very hell-bent on making sure that I was not oblivious to who I am as far as, what you can physically see. But he made that clear. But my mother never, 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 never was against me identifying as black. And as a matter of fact, she has always respected. She was a very understanding mother. All my siblings, she was very understanding. She was rarely and almost never in judgment mode. And it was a bit free spirited, but given that African man education that I received, being reprimanded, having this strong dominant male figure, but also this strong, powerful, but also very caring female figure in the family with my mother and all the women of the family, because we have a very matriarchal family in my family. We have more women in the family than there's men. So I was blessed to benefit from all these different um, energies, and really interestingly enough, um, I embrace now more than ever the term "mommy's boy." Now that she's gone, I found it a bit pejorative back then because I felt like it was reducing. But I think there's nothing more beautiful than a child who is enamored with his or her parents, and who just wants to honor and serve them until they draw their last breath. And so, you sharing your experiences really, allowed me to gather knowledge and add that to my bank of connaissance, and hopefully help me carry along the way these amazing gems to my nieces and hopefully my future kids. So this is very powerful for us men in general, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad I'm able to make space through this show, and having people also watching us that may benefit from these beautiful conversations. And so thank you, thank you, thank you, because this, as you said beautifully, this was love making, this was cleansing, this was all you can think of in between the lines of just elevating the mind, the body, and the soul. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Boddhi.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Truly.
Sir.
Truly.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, identity is a big thing. Especially I was before we wrap up. It's funny because that's as a mixed kid is a very fucking complicated thing. You don't know your identity
Yeah.
because whether you go on one side, you're this way. Whether you go to you that way, and it's funny enough. For example, when I go to do interviews in the media, they call me the Central African artist when my passport is actually French. But because I've always was very vocal about me identifying as African, as Central African. That's just how I'm being acknowledged, and actually people don't see me otherwise. So there's also a capacity of persuasion that is very interesting that we have as humans, when we can, especially when you are who you are, you're not faking it. That's just who I am. So there's power in what you ladies have shared in just owning and apologetically your divine self and your power, and really entering into true understanding of what it means, and also, you know, the responsibility that comes with it. So, yeah, man,
Well,
beautiful.
I want to say one thing before we leave. I battled with that as well. When I was 14, I found out that my father was Puerto Rican. I didn't even know. So
What?
it just
What?
popped up.
Boricua?
It literally just popped up on me by my brother being with my father for a summer, and then he came back with salsa CDs and shit. And I was like, in the Puerto Rican flag, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I didn't even know. I didn't even know. But I always knew I was different. But the different in that with mixed race and all that stuff, we understand certain aspects of it, but really the divine is asking, what does the soul say?
Mm-hmm.
It's about the soul, because our brothers and sisters are coming in all forms, and whatever has happened, whatever has transpired, we all understand based on the flesh that we're in, what time it is, and the mission that we're on, but not to diminish anybody else's capacity to
At
be
all. Yep.
great or anything like that. But really it's about your soul. And when the souls speak to each other, and when the energy and the frequency speak to each other, none of that matters.
I understand and agree with you. And as we wrap this conversation, which was, oh my God, absolutely amazing. Um, any last words that each of you may want to share with us, as well as actuality and where can people find you? Obviously, I'm going to be posting Onika's Instagram. I already, actually, if you'll see, I already changed the flyer and all the visuals. Onika, your name is there. It is actually important that you're. So I want to make sure that you share. Maybe let's start with Nikki Morgan. Last words of wisdom, or whatever you want to share, or actuality, up and coming, business endeavors, whatever the case may be. Just let us know what's the 411.
Yeah. So you're infinite. Everything is an essence of I am. What you are witnessing is the mirror of your soul. So pay attention. And all those that have interest in seeing and being a part of what we're doing, we're holding an interdimensional journey, May 24th through May 28th. And if you are not in America, you can still be able to access us virtually and be able to participate in much of what we're offering. And you can search that by bit.ly/sacred journey tickets. And thank you so much, Boddhi, for allowing us to be here and holding this space. And I celebrate your mom.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Onika, any words about the work that you're doing with Merkaba House in ATL?
Yeah. So of course, we do the chakra clearings, and we do things called the Soul Path Blueprint, where it's kind of like the blueprint to your soul, every aspect of your life. My husband actually does that one, where he can pull out just reading the energy off of your name. He studied under a Dogon priest for 2 years.
Wow.
He used a system called gematria to get the information. So it's very, very powerful. And we also offer karmic clearings, where we can take you back to certain moments in your life to clear them, and in different lifetimes. So it's very powerful. You can find me on Instagram at Merkaba House, spelled MERKABAHOUSE. Unfortunately, I've been hacked, not hacked, but cloned 7 times. So I tell people,
oh my God,
don't go for the one with a underscore before or after. Mine is only at Merkaba House. And I also have Merkaba House Spa. But I just want everyone to just, always stand firm in your power. Believe in yourself, and communication really is the key. Think before you speak. Sometimes you might need to say things 10 times in your head before you say it out loud. But there's nothing wrong with doing that, because you always want to empower your relationship, with your mate, whether it's a man, woman. In Atlanta, they have polyamory, whatever. But communication, I feel, is number one. And like even we were talking about sexually, again, speaking, I wanted to add earlier, honey, I really love when you do X, Y, and Z. That's very important without making a person feel bad just by like, oh, I didn't, have an orgasm. Tell them what you actually do, like what your body does respond to. I find out is very, very powerful. And then sometimes you'll see if you tell them what you like, or let's say you're in the middle of the act and you're like, oh, that feels amazing, keep doing that. And they stop and start doing something else. That's an indication you might not need to be with that partner. Because why would they stop doing something you just told them felt amazing to you? So, you don't lose sight of your own intuition. Always look at the signs. So that's why I want to leave the people with. And oh yeah, my website. Now my calendar is down right now. I don't know if I told you why. I literally just had a baby 10 weeks ago.
Congratulations. Blessings
And
indeed.
a little boy. And so he's 10 weeks old. And so I closed my calendar because I'm on like maternity leave. But I'm gonna be opening it back up. But the website is themerkabahouse.com. And our phone number is 314-649-8088.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sister Nicki Monty. Bring it on. We are gathered here, my dearly beloved. Hallelujah. Yes. Come on.
You know me. Give them that fire. Don't be relentless with your healing. Focus on yourself. Someone told me that. Focus on myself. Everything else will fall into place. And enjoy your time here. It is limited. It's limited, and live and love and have compassion and kindness for yourself. And then when you do for yourself, it will exude and you'll attract. So be the best version of yourself. The world needs it.
Fantastic. That is very true indeed. I would like to, before you leave, ladies, I'm going to log out the session. Just stay with me for 2 minutes. Let me actually thank each and every one of the queens and kings that attended the show and those who at least commented. Rafael Lopez, by order of appearance, of course. Sister Kiara Garrett Bay, thank you very, very much for your beautiful sharings and participation. Lorraine, Sister Lorraine. We had also Sankofa John, as well as Emmanuel Etienne, Erica, and everyone else who will be watching the replay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please make sure you support these queens, these goddesses. Show the love. Don't hesitate to reach out. Don't be shy. These are not just vain words. These women, I cannot speak for what I have not experienced, but I have experienced directly, at least my beloved sister, Nicki Monty, and I know right away by the exchange that we just had with Sister Nicki Morgan and Onika along that this is exactly the same kind of spirit. This comes from heart, and we reach out to them. There's no way around it. We need the healing. We need to get deep into the practice, and it's motherfucking needed. Let's add some goodness to this shit. Yeah. Let's get wet and orgasm properly.
Right. Hello.
Peace, family, and I shall see you next Monday for another edition of Monday Quality Talks.
Peace.
Peace and blessings.
Gratitude.